gonna open the meeting, it now being, what, 12:01? And call the meeting to order. So additions, oh, and just so everyone's aware, when we make motions, everyone will have to announce their name in order to make sure that we have the roll, because we have one person participating, that's Susan Hammond, by phone. Okay, so additions to the agenda for routine administrative matters and/or pressing matters that will require ratification at a future meeting. This item is here because you added it, right?
I haven't seen this till just right now.
Okay, so we won't be, so we can put this, can we put this to a next joint board meeting, which will be the end of July? If you're,
Best not. This has to do with that, remember the Vermont Council on Rural Development? They wanted to get some kind of concurrence from the town and the village, whether or not there's an interest in doing the visit, the community visit program.
right,
Now, apparently, the planning board is interested in can you,
why is the door half closed?
apparently the planning board is now interested in participating in that, in the town plan process. So if the board would want to take this up, it could help expedite that process.
I see.
Instead of waiting a full month, I think it would be worthwhile taking this up.
And we do have to sign, so I'm assuming we have to make a motion for this, and we'll have to ratify it at the next
I would think so,
meeting.
yes.
Okay, is the board interested in doing this?
Well, you could edit.
Adding it to
just
the
edit.
end as number 4, I'm assuming?
Does it have to be done today? Can't we wait till
Yeah,
July?
I'd rather see
Till
it.
July 3rd?
Day up to the end of the month, I thought, so.
That's our
Okay,
next
we could-
meeting.
Yeah, we could, he's given it
And
to the
then
joint
our
board, but we
meeting's
could
the
take it
following.
individually on both of our meetings this coming next
that
That way
would
we're
week.
not gonna deal with it today.
Okay, so we're gonna, Susan, just so you're aware, it's the Vermont Council on Rural Development, about setting them up for this spring 2019 visit, so we're gonna do that at the next regular meetings.
I don't think there's a hurry.
Okay, all right, so we'll do that at the next regular meetings of both boards. Okay, so we need to approve, moving on to approving the minutes of June 6th, 2018. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve?
Seconded.
All right, any discussion on the minutes? All right, hearing nothing, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Oh, thank you, Susan. Oh, yes, I forgot. Everyone has to announce their name.
Susan Hammond, aye.
Roll call. Susan
All
said,
right, Doreen Aldrich, aye.
Gaetano Putignano, aye.
Peter Golick, aye.
Stephen Golick, aye.
Gary Lookway, aye.
And you differentiate.
Deborah Wright, aye.
Aye for both the village and the town.
Okay, so that's everyone. Thank you, Gary, for reminding me. Now, public comment on items not on the agenda, 3 minutes per person. Mr. Stearns.
I want to address the board, suspend the rules
Yeah,
of
good to
procedure
know.
regarding public input on the agenda item after board discussion. Between the minute per person will restrict opportunity to have an open discussion on a serious issue of public trust.
I believe that is number 3 on our agenda today. Is an item which is on the agenda. You will have an opportunity to speak on that at that time. Yes?
I'm asking for a suspension of the rules.
Do the boards wish to suspend the rules this time?
Can you repeat the rest of it? Statement?
The rest of the statement, the 2-minute limit per person will restrict opportunity to have an open discussion on the serious issue of the public trust.
Does the board wish to suspend the rules of 2 minutes per person? I don't hear anyone saying yes. So I believe that would be a no, sir.
And then secondly, consider how you manage all your relationships. People will remember how they felt long after the details of your actions are forgotten.
Thank you. Anyone else with public comment? Mr. Mitchell.
First, I want to thank Shane O'Keefe for the last 2 years of dedicated service to this community. There are times when we disagree, but we always agree to be friends at the end of the day. So thank you, Shane. Secondly, there is a situation out on the street right now that I just brought to town attention. There's an alarm box, a heavy metal alarm box hanging off the Centennial Arcade building that's about to fall and clobber somebody in the head. Third, I fell leaving the parade the other day on the sidewalks, once again, in the cracks in the sidewalk, and I was really tired on my wheelchair. I wound up on the ground, and I had to go to the hospital and get stitched up. I split my stump wide open. Now, I want to bring up one last unpleasant issue that I tried to address in a gentlemanly fashion. A couple of days ago, on my new business blog, I had a story sent to me from the Rutland Herald from 5 years ago. I tried to address it with the town manager, but he informed me that he doesn't receive my emails. So I'm going to bring it to all your board's attention because it's germane to what you're going to discuss here today. I was accused of impersonating a public official. We'll leave it at that. The point was I just discussed this with Doreen, she was the town clerk at the time, who had written me an email asking me, who is the person leaking all the information to you? I said to her, it's not who you think it is. I just disclosed to her who the person was that was providing me all the information. So imagine my surprise when 2 weeks later I read in the papers and had broadcast live on TV for 2 weeks straight at all the meetings that I was impersonating a public official. Now, if that isn't slander, falsehood, libel, and lies, there's nothing that could possibly be further from the truth. I was not impersonating that individual.
Right.
Okay? So, a simple apology will do. If it doesn't, it's a breach. I can request a Freedom of Information Act because your town hall records will reflect that 5 years ago, in May, I sent that email directly to Doreen Aldridge when she asked me. And I said, no, it's not Kerry Bennett.
I just want to let you know you're at your 3-minute limit, Mr. Mitchell.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, thank you for the
Now,
information.
by the way, Chip mentioned the 2-minute rule. I thought we had
Excuse
3
me,
minutes.
it's a 3-minute rule, and you
Okay.
have 3 minutes.
What was you saying, the 2-minute rule? Was confused.
I think it meant by agenda item, so
Oh,
not
okay.
about the public comment, which is 3.
Thank you
And
very
thank you.
much.
Does anyone else have public comment before we move on? No one else. All right, moving on to the agenda, item number 1 is to ratify the vote taken on June 12, 2018, to offer the municipal manager position to candidate number 25. I have given you guys you have information from Passive concerning the matter. I have prepared a motion that we can read. Just want to see if anyone wants to move forward with the motion, or what discussion we want to have.
I believe we should consult the legal counsel before we make any decisions.
Passive, what's
We need to know our options before we get into the situation.
I believe have you read the comment from Passive? What's your concern with that with an attorney?
The person that sent that email couldn't even get the days to respond right, and I would be very skeptical about the information that we receive and how to respond.
The law changed from last year, 7 days to 10.
That's right.
To 10.
She's not negotiating, she's not stating that, she states 7 days.
Right.
So, if she can't get the number of days we can respond straight, then I think we need to discuss some options with our attorney.
Susan? Did you have something to say?
I was going to say that the law changes on July 1st.
So it's still 7 right now. It goes to 10?
Yes. I believe so, yes. It changed, July 1st is when the law turns over.
As I recall, Shane had said it was 10 days. I thought what used to be 7 days.
I
But is there,
agree with
I don't
you.
understand, is there a problem with us resolving the matter sooner than later? And what I'm seeing is that both of our attorneys have not been available. They have been advised by Shane of the complaint. The information went to them from him. If they had an opportunity to respond, they could, and they were advised that we were having a meeting today at noon. Neither one of them is available. I contacted Passive again today. They're in an event. There's no one there to speak to us. They're in some conference or something like that today. That we have language from passive on what action to take and to move forward. We can choose to do that or something else, but that's all up to us at this point, and we have had input from attorney. So I'm not
Okay.
sure how long we want to drag this out.
I'll make the motion for the trustees that we hereby ratify the votes taken on June 12, 2018 meeting as they pertain to the municipal manager selection and contract process.
Could you hear that? Did you hear that? All right, need a second? This is on the trustee side.
I'll second it.
Thank you, for discussion. So the trustees have moved to ratify the votes taken at June 12, 2018's meeting as they pertain. Any discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none? Although, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? There are all three of us, and that was, I'm sorry, Gary, you have to say your name and aye.
Gary Lichtway, aye.
Stephen Golick, aye.
Deborah Wright, aye. So the trustees have voted to ratify the votes taken June 12th.
Point of order,
Okay.
procedure
Yes?
calls for public discussion, which you failed to do.
Ah, okay. Well, the select board still has to do their portion, and we can still have discussion. It's not done, it's a joint board issue, so I do apologize for looking up to ask for public input. Is there
Yes,
public
I
input?
move-
Wait, okay, Susan, wait a second. Is there input?
Are we gonna let the select board move and then have public discussion?
You can do that if you like.
Okay, Deb, I move that we ratify the votes taken on June 12th, 2018 meeting as they pertain to the municipal manager selection and the contract process.
Is there a second from your board?
I'll second for discussion.
And that's Peter Golick. Okay, so now discussion. The board discussion, and then select board discussion, and then we'll go out to the public and have input. Yes,
I
Shane?
just wanted to mention one thing. These are the rules of procedure, and on this, it says at the conclusion of the discussion of each agenda item from the board standpoint, but before any action is taken by the body at each meeting, there may be 2 minutes afforded for public comment.
After the
That's
vote or
made-
before the vote? It's said during the discussion.
Aye.
I'll say that again.
At the
Before any
At the
action.
conclusion of the discussion of each agenda
Okay.
item. But before any action is taken by the body, there may be 2 minutes afforded for
2 minutes afforded.
open public comment.
Yes, and
It's not
that's the
shall,
piece-
it's a may.
It's a May, right?
It's a May,
Just
and
to
that's
let
the
you know.
piece that I missed, Mr. Stern pointed out. So now it's on the select board side to discuss.
Again, that's a May, not a shall.
That's a may, not a shall. Yeah. Discussion by the,
Yeah, well, I just want to say that, I mean, this is coming out because when we had our meeting, when we came out of executive session on June 12th, well, actually, I should step back a second. Before we went into executive session, I had indicated that there would be no vote. And as a result, the two people who were still in the room at the time, I believe there was just Susan Small here, the reporter, and Fact TV, they didn't stick around. So they weren't there when we came out an hour and a half later to have any input. So therefore, we were advised to ratify this vote so that people who would like to have comment would have the opportunity to comment.
okay. Anyone else on the select board side? Before we go to the audience.
The reason I'm asking for legal counsel on this is because either way we make a decision, if it's the wrong one, the town could be facing legal action that's gonna cause extra expense. So before we make a decision, I think we should have maybe we have to call the lawyer, get passive or whatever, and get that thing. That's my opinion.
Anyone else?
Passive is the one who suggested that we ratify the vote.
As
When
you-
I spoke to her, when we were in communication.
Susan, everyone here has a copy of that text. So all of your board members are aware of Passive's opinion.
And I think this, also the ratification is somewhat, I mean, it's a step, it's another step to the vote taken. It's not necessarily, you know, it doesn't complete the whole issue that we're gonna discuss in number 3, potentially. But it is a step that needs to be taken, just so we give the public some ability to provide input.
Anything else before we go to the audience, to citizens?
I mean, it says here in this same letter we're referring to that it is possible that this could be considered a violation, so I'd like clarification before voting.
Yes, but then she goes on to say, to correct that, we ratify the vote.
I have to keep asking anything else before I go to the public, because Susan's on the phone. So would anyone else like to speak?
I kind of feel the same way Peter does. I would feel more confident with our town council giving us a legal opinion. Doreen Aldrich.
Okay. Anything else, Susan, before I go to the public?
No, other than to repeat that we have a legal opinion from pacifist.
Okay. All right. Anyone in the public wish to speak to this item? Mr. Stearns?
So this appears to confirm that 4 of 9 people that will employ candidate number 25 are not in support of this candidate. This is the beginning of your relationship with candidate 25 as divided boards. I suggest you reconsider the vote on June 12th, vote the same motion unanimously on both boards to support candidate 25.
Anything further?
Nothing
Okay.
further.
So did you hear that, Susan?
I didn't hear all of that, something about reconsidering the vote.
Yeah, and vote all over again, and that'd have to be unanimous. That, of course,
Doesn't
is...
have to be, but it should be.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Okay. Miles wants to...
I mean,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's each individual board members to decide who they wanted to vote on, and we made that vote on the 12th.
Mhm. Okay. Miles.
Yeah, Miles Mickle, Bellows Falls. I'd just like to kind of agree what Sue Hammond just said, is that the board had an hour-and-a-half discussion, and you came up with the decision that you came up with, that all 9 of you voted. You've thought about this, and to go back at this point would be defeatist. I mean, you'll have to go through this whole process again, and for what? I think you picked the strongest candidate. That's all I have to say. I think it would just be going backwards.
Yes.
2 things. I think that I agree with Wade Mashore.
The flip around. Yeah.
I think Sue, the chairwoman, I think Sue mentioned that this could be done under number 3.
Right, there'll be more discussion about
Right.
that.
So to me, this part, that's the opportunity for the select board to do what they have to do or feel their feelings there under number 3.
Mhm.
In addition to that, if we were to do what Chip is suggesting, then we may never hire a manager, because the chances of 9 people always being unanimous with whoever the candidate is would be difficult in itself. So I second what Miles said.
Yeah.
Thank you. 1 second. Do you want something?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Stephen Golick, Board of Trustees, not to shortchange the village, but it's 10 people. I sat 2 seats here, it was select board in the village. Hadn't been a problem for, I think, the last 3 or 4 town managers when I sat here, so, or as far as the vote. So, I'm not gonna shortchange the village or the town in either capacity as far as how I vote.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Judy Lighting.
Judy Lighting, if the case would be that you should all be unanimous, when we elect our officials, they're never unanimous. there's always people who don't want certain people, and that's the way it's gonna be with a manager.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Yes.
Sam Haskins for Sam Investments. I agree with that group over there that there's no way you're gonna have a unanimous vote. I should have my opinion, each one of them should have their opinion. And I agree exactly the way the vote was taken. Thank you.
Thank you. And anyone else on the select board side?
My concern with this whole process is the fact that we haven't been explained the ramifications of a vote either way, whether we ratify or don't ratify. And I'm uncomfortable voting on not knowing which way or what our options would be if there was a decision not to ratify this, or if there is to ratify. I know it may answer the open meeting law complaint. But if the vote goes south, what's the ramification? That's not been explained to us. Is there a legal action that could take place, which is quite possible? And we don't know that.
Can happen either way. Judy?
I guess I'm
What-
not clear.
So what do you mean by
Wait a
going
second, wait one
south?
sec, wait one sec, Sue, and we'll get back to that. Judy Lighty?
I'm not clear, so could you explain why we're having this meeting? Is it from a disgruntled candidate that we're having it that didn't get the job?
We have received, boards have received an open meeting law violation complaint, or complaints. This is an attempt to address them because of what Susan explained at the beginning, that on June 12th, that she said there's not likely to be any announcements. And so therefore, the two people in the room, the reporter and Fact TV, left, did not come back. The opportunity to speak at that point, there was no audience, no public at that point, but this is to give them that opportunity to speak on the matter. That may be the perception that they were not given that opportunity on June 12th.
Well, if nobody was here, they couldn't speak, so how can that be a?
Right, this is sort of a CYA moment. Peter, they would like to understand why you said, Susan just asked why, what do you mean by south, going south?
If the board so votes that we don't vote to ratify, that's what I mean by going south. What's the ramification? It could go either way in legal action against either all of the boards, or the town, or the municipality, and we don't know that yet. It's not been explained to us what would happen if the vote went either way. All we've got is a vote, a message here that says, if we vote to ratify, it may clear up the open meeting law violation.
Part of the cure.
And then we have to come up with the cure, which goes to item 3.
I'm sorry, Shane, Gaetano wanted to speak first.
People left because they were told there wasn't gonna be an announcement.
That's their problem.
No, that's not how it works, though.
No, they were never told there were definitely not going to be an announcement, likely not going to be an announcement. And
Okay.
I didn't say it, and I
Okay.
was chairing the meeting.
Likely not.
I would have hung around.
I'm sorry, Shane was next. Shane?
I was going to say that a vote to ratify is not a revote on the motion. It's simply confirming what the vote was. So if you dispute that that vote actually took place, then there could be a split vote. But those votes took place. So, and you were all there, it should be a unanimous vote, frankly, to approve that those votes took place. It would be my strong recommendation that in the future, no one ever says at a meeting that there's not going to be, you would not want to flag what may or may not happen after executive session. That's one policy change that the boards really ought to consider.
Yeah, that may come up.
That'll come in number 3, I'm
Number
certain.
three.
I mean, I'm certain that I know the problem. Every time we go into executive session, someone asks us. It's either the reporter or the cameraman or someone in the audience wants to know if they should come back and hear. And I certainly do understand that. I'm sorry. Doreen, did you have something to say?
Not
You
really.
started to speak when I was going to point to Shane. Okay. Yes.
Hi,
Hope.
Hope Brissette. I encourage both boards to take a leap of faith, ratify it, and let the, pardon the pun, let the chips fall where they may afterward.
And, and the trustees have already done that.
Yeah, well, I mean.
And as we have to do this separately, now it's up to
I
the
know.
select
So-
board.
My recommendation.
I'm sorry, oh, yes, Sam?
Sam Haskins, first. If I'm understanding Shane right, so this vote is not a revote. It's just to ratify the vote the way it was counted.
That we did
But
vote.
if it was 5-3 or whatever, you're ratifying that that vote was 5-3 or whatever it was. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Correct.
Or if you-
Well, why wouldn't you vote? If you was there present at that meeting, why wouldn't you vote that you was there present at that meeting and that vote was the proper,
Right.
come out to the public properly? I mean, so there should be an unanimous vote. Absolutely.
Gaetano?
I'm not willing to take a leap of faith that things fall into place. I think we have an issue with some policies, and that's the concerning part for me.
You're gonna have a suit either
Oh.
way.
I mean, were you there?
Let them
Don't-
sue.
Sorry, Mr. Mitchell was next.
I understand Peter and Gaetano's concern about seeking legal counsel, but let's look at the legal counsel that we had. We screwed up on the Baybot contract with all the lawyers, Chip was a part of. We screwed up on the fire department. We screwed up on this, that, every other thing. Chip is the one that ushered in the entire Baybot issue. I tried to raise the line. I notified Peter Golick. I said, Baybot is bankrupt. They're in Cape Cod. They've been kicked out. I was told to stop sending emails. I sent them to check. Ignored me. This is the man, the architect of the Baybot disaster. He was our finance director. Now he's here reaping sour grapes on this community. You can't expect the BCLT to put his name forward when there's already been a settlement and paid to leave town along with Jimmy Cullinan. We've fired 2 town managers and paid them off. And Chip Stern thinks that we want to welcome him back. I'm sorry, guys. Wake up.
Mr. Mitchell, we're trying to keep this a non-personal
relevant.
event. It's not relevant
Okay,
to.
well,
I understand, but we
It's
also
our
have a time
tax dollars.
limit. Thank you. Anyone else want to speak? Oh, great. Chip?
Deb, I just want to.
Oh, Susan. Yes.
Susan, I just want to, confirm what Shane just mentioned, that ratification is the confirmation or adoption of an act that has already been performed. That is what we're trying to do here. And addressing the open we are correcting the mistake that I made by indicating that we may not have an announcement. And as a result, the 2 people who had remained behind left. So this is to correct the mistake that I made. To ratify the vote that was already taken.
All right. Chip?
I guess, in defense of Chip Stern's municipal manager, I would request that the town of Rockingham thoroughly investigate the statements made by Jim Mitchell today regarding my participation in the Rockingham Free Public Library Baybot function. This is, in fact, something you own this time. And your obligation is to protect me while I was here. He's making allegations. You have to protect me. Clearly by my contract when I was here. That is unacceptable, that a man can come here and make open public comments, which he has done against me multiple times. The straw was broken on my tolerance level, not when Sue Hammond said there's no activity. When Sue Hammond provided the privacy of a candidate's name to the press, you're talking about the wrong subject.
That is, however, a different item, not under item number 1 on our agenda. That would be item number 3. Did you have anything to pertain to item number 1? No. Okay. Hope?
So if you guys don't move forward on this ratification, for whatever reason, what is the, manager you wanna hire,
I know.
what'd she do? Sit around and wait for you, you know, I mean, she's made plans, is she here, you know, I mean, does she can't start her job,
Right,
you know?
that's correct, but that, again, that'll be another,
Okay,
that's
I'm
another
just,
item,
you
yes,
know,
exactly,
you're
for
putting her on
the
hold.
agenda.
Just saying.
Thank you. And
That
Mr.
sucks.
Mitchell,
Like
please
to-
make sure it's brief and
Yeah,
pertinent to
I'd
item
like
number
to
1.
Just rebut to what Mr.
No, sir, you may
No, hold
not,
on.
that subject is for another item on our agenda.
Okay, let me know when we can discuss it.
I would caution you to bring up this item anymore. But,
Well-
okay, but when we get to item number 3, we'll go there.
Okay. thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, Gaetan.
So on today's agenda, we're referring to candidate by the number 25. And when we left the meeting on the 12th, I thought that's what we had agreed, that we were going to refer to that candidate as that number and wait till Tuesday with negotiations. And then I received the link to the reformer with the picture of the candidate and the name and everything. I'm also a little,
That was after she'd been, as the motion was, did you read the motion that we made? The motion was to offer it to candidate number 25. It was offered, it was accepted. Then the newspaper put out an article with her picture, because then her name was no longer confidential. We have a binding contract in the state of Vermont based upon the handshake and the accepted offer of an agreement. That brings us to another episode of concern for both boards if we back out of that. Again, the last thing I would like to say, I'm not a member of the select board, but I'd like to ask why you want to not accept the vote was taken, the votes actually happened, it wasn't an alternate reality, and the reality is, what I see is another bite at the apple. And what we are asking is that ratification be done, that the votes actually happened the way they happened, and that's all we are needing to do. Yes, Gary?
but
Oh,
can
wait.
I would like
was
to comment
my question.
along with Gaetano. I don't know if it goes to number 3 or now, but I do agree with him. My assumption of that meeting when we left, June 12th, that we were still under confidentiality until she had seen the contract, and then we were going to announce.
But that's not what the vote said.
When I got my email Saturday or Sunday morning, when I checked them, Saturday night I got sent the email and it had already been put out in the paper Saturday morning, which I myself was still under the fact I'm under confidentiality. I can't say nothing.
Again, I would say that that particular piece goes under another agenda item. It is not about
Okay,
the vote
that-
itself. And yes, we should discuss that because there was a slip. I do understand that. But not about what happened, but how it was not, how the boards were not informed about that. Anyone else with any comments on this item? So there's been a motion made and seconded to ratify the votes taken at the June 12, 2018 meeting as they pertain to the municipal manager selection and contract process. Yes, Joanne?
I would like to make that same motion on behalf of the select board, but I do want to.
It was made already. Susan made it,
Oh.
Peter seconded
I'm
it for
sorry.
discussion. That's okay. It's been a
Okay.
while since we made the
I
motion.
would like to add that, and I know I'm going to be very unpopular saying this. My choice has been Chip all along, and I voted for candidate number 25 because that was the majority vote.
Okay. Had you say? Anyone else? All right, motion been made and seconded. All those in favor of the motion?
Peter needs to call that.
Peter needs to call it, I guess, yeah.
Susan Hammond, aye.
Well, go ahead. Peter.
Peter Golick, aye.
Doreen Aldrich, aye.
Okay, Stephen Gold?
Stephen Golick, aye.
Gaetano Pugnano.
nay.
Okay, nay. All right, so we have 4-1. That has been, the vote has been ratified. Thank you very much for all of your efforts. And now we now move on to item number 2, which is Finance Office set the FY 2019 town and village rate tax rate. Thanks for the break. Okay, and so you gave us, we have a handout on the table, which is different. Is that just for one side? Is that just for the village? Okay, the town already has theirs. So there's a difference of one line on here. So if you can find those. Here we are. All right. Shane or Ron? Speak to the matter.
Speak to it, Ron.
Okay. You can see from both spreadsheets what the projected tax rate's going to be for the village as well as the town. The reason why we say projected, we do not have the state education rates yet. And item that says local agreement estimate, that can't be calculated without the rates. However, that's our best, I want to say guesstimate. We did a rough calculation based upon last year's state rates, and it's very close to the 33. I think it came out to be 29 something. But that,
It's the town.
that is based upon a flat line state rate. We all heard the state budget was, the veto by the governor was not overturned, so basically we don't have a budget at the state level. The governor basically said he wants no increase in the state budget, so that would mean, I would think that would mean the state education rates would remain the same as 17.
Right, so we're suggesting using the same number we used last year, which is 33,000, that's just for local agreements. So therefore, for the town, we're looking at a proposed rate of 1.0842. That's an increase of a little, about 2.5 cents. So that would be setting your tax rate. It's not actually estimated tax rate, that's just, we have to make an assumption at this time on the state portion. And in the village, we're looking at a tax rate of 0.6453. That's an increase of 0.0026. So those are recommended. We have recommended motions in blue on each of these, so the recommendation is to move, adopt accordingly.
So would the town like to move this first?
Madam Chairman, I make the motion that sets down Rockingham municipal tax rate at 1.42 and accept the educational tax rates as and when they are provided by the Vermont Department of Education for the fiscal year 2019.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and seconded. A discussion by the Town of Rockingham Board.
I would just like to remind the public that's listening or watching that most of this budget was voted at town meeting. That's why you have an increase of where you're looking at.
Anything else further?
Just
Okay.
if this local agreement changes, then we have to issue new tax bills, is that correct? Doreen Aldrich?
We would just plug it in at this time. I mean, the only problem is if it's significantly higher, which we don't anticipate.
Okay.
If it's a little bit lower, we'll, collect a little bit more than we normally would, but that would go to fund balance.
Wouldn't be
It's a good number.
Yeah, no supplementary bill or anything like that.
I hope not. I mean,
Well, I remember
We've done
we
last
did
time.
that last year,
Right,
we
I
don't want to do
remember
it again, it was very, very expensive to
okay.
do.
Yeah, it's horrible. Okay, Peter, you want to move your board then, I guess at this point? All those,
Well,
yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Gaetano
Oh, do
Puttiniano,
it by
aye.
name. All right,
Peter Golick, aye.
Gaetano Puttiniano, aye.
Doreen Aldrich, aye.
Stephen Golick, aye.
Susan?
Susan Hammond, aye.
Okay.
And next is-
Susan Hammond, aye.
Thank you.
She voted twice.
Yes, you did. We can't
They
count.
voted twice, so there
We're
you
not,
go.
it's not vote early, vote often. You can't do it twice. It's good.
We're not in Chicago.
I think it's 2 a.m. where she is.
Probably, yes. Okay, so on the trustees side, we've already heard that. We've already done this in May, so.
I'll make the motion, Madam President, that we set the Bellows Falls Village Corporation municipal tax rate as .6453 for fiscal year 2019.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion on the village tax rate? Looking around, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Gary
Oh,
Lickway, aye.
Stephen Bullock, aye.
Deb Wright, aye. Okay, so we have handled that item. So now we're on to item number 3.
If I may,
Yes,
get item number 3.
okay.
Just to make sure that it's clear, and Chip, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't have it verbatim in front of me. But the municipalities with Chip had a separation agreement, as that's what it was termed. So let's make sure we get that correct, and there's criteria in there that
Covers that.
we will adhere to, and I'm sure everybody else will.
Okay, so this is the response to the open meeting law violations. This is for those who don't have an agenda item in front of them. Okay, so mainly we're looking at discussion of the items. So whoever wants to open that. Anyone? Okay, I would like to. Yeah,
I
go ahead.
can open the,
Okay.
Deb, can you hear me?
Yep. Can you guys hear her? Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so, basically, as we got that memo from Passive, the attorney said that the violation, the potential violation, she didn't say for sure it would be, but the potential violation was that, we indicated, I indicated that there would be no vote, and we did take a vote. And they, as we just discussed, she said that if we ratify that, that should clear that up. And that we should put in a policy that we do not do that again, as Shane had mentioned earlier, that we make it very clear whenever we're going into executive session that we don't know what's going to happen, so stay tuned. And not to make a declarative statement of the fact that there will be no vote, because things could change in executive session, which is what happened when we went into our session. We went in thinking we may not have a vote, and we ended up, because at the time we didn't have all of the background information before we went in, but we did when we were in session, so we were able to come up with a vote. So that was what the lawyer has said, that we just need to ratify the vote, and it would clear up the claim of, because the other aspects of the claim were not violations of the open meeting law.
So let's go back to, we should take these piece by piece, I would think. First of all, the adopting measures to prevent future violations, we should change our procedures to add that we will make no declaration upon entering into executive session what happens after. So I'm not sure exactly how to word that, but that would need to be added to our procedures, and both boards would have to sign off on them. That we will make no future, no matter how many people beg to know before they leave, that we will make no offer of yes or no on any announcements. And that should take care of any future opportunities to speak out of turn for any of us. So that's one. There is another item which covers the missing minutes, which were not posted in time. We should cover that one. Did you want to speak to that, Susan?
Right.
As well?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that one because it was kind of buried in the complaint. So, yeah, that, we did rectify that by, and Miles, I believe, is in the audience, so he can confirm that the minutes were submitted to Carrie. I don't know if they've been posted, but I'm assuming Carrie has, but she's quick about that. And that we apologize. You know, it was definitely our mistake for not getting them to Carrie in time.
Okay, so just to cover that piece, Miles.
Yes, Miles Mickle. Yeah, it was entirely my fault. I was late in giving the last minutes in particular. We're late, and I can only say I'm sorry. But they have been submitted a couple of days ago and posted. So.
Carrie has posted them, she said. Susan. Okay. So, Mr. Stearns?
So I to presume that the 4-page letter, which refers to open meeting law and to violation of conflict of interest, you have considered closed.
We're not done, we're going item by item on here.
There are
So, no.
distinct and individual complaints. Please do not combine them
I
or
do.
move between them.
The conflict of interest policy, both, I have on the same opinion as passive, which is that it is not an open meeting law violation complaint and cannot be considered within this document as one that we can resolve. That's not one the boards need to address. And I want to make sure I get input from my board members. I'm not hearing anything from anyone at this time. So, I know Susan's spoken, I've spoken, a couple audience members have spoken. Anything from the select board side, besides Susan?
We're talking about the open.
Which
We're
one are we
talking about the
about?
complaint, period. We took the.
All of them?
First, second, I'm trying to deal with them in order, so I want to know what kind of.
Okay, well,
input
you
got.
sac you had spoken about them, and now this is some.
And I have, and Susan's has, we
Right,
just
you
listened
two
to
have.
us, so. So there's coverage of what happened already with with changing our procedures that's considered a cure to remedy the problem for the future. And then the minutes, which Miles and Susan have both apologized for, the delay from the committee, that came from the manager search committee. And they have been posted since that happened a couple days ago. That's two of them. The conflict of interest policy is not an open meeting law violation. So therefore, cannot be addressed by these boards in this manner. And then I believe there are two additional ones for 2016, and according to statute, 314, 1 VSA 314C, anything older than a year, it needs to be addressed prior to a year's expiration in order to deal with the alleged violation. So, that's all I have to say on the matter. I want to see what the board members have to say on the items.
Well, I'm going to concur. I had read the passive statement, gone over it, looked at the statute that was referred to as far as the limitations, as you want to call it, or timeframe. Pretty black and white to me, as I interpret it the same way.
Anyone else? So, Doreen.
Doreen Aldrich, addressing the chair of this meeting. Would it be any harm to read this in public so they know what we're talking about?
It's kind of lengthy. It is a public document. It's on the website. It's on the website. Because it was in the packet, right? Because it was in the packet.
You're discussing conflict of interest one right now?
I just went over, I think there's what, 4 here. So anyway, it's up to you, which you prefer to cover, helps out. Good time. So you can speak on that.
I don't have any opinion. I have nothing to say about them.
Okay. Just want to give you the opportunity to speak on them.
I'm not a lawyer.
Addressed to us. Wait. Anyone else on the board want to speak to these matters? We can take no action if that is our choice. And we have taken action on a couple of the items. Anyone else? Nope. Okay, Mr. Mitchell, you have a minute.
Just very quickly, when is passive, I keep hearing this, I have no idea, it's the first I've ever heard of it. Is this a lawyer?
Passive is, what does exactly it stand for? It's part of the insurance.
Property and casualty intermunicipal fund.
It's part of BLCT, is it not? Yes.
Okay,
Sorry, sure.
okay.
Deb, it's
What, Carrie just said what it stands for, property and casualty. Part of BLCT. Did you have something else to add?
just that we get pro bono time from lawyers when there's a issue that affects the select board, or in our case, the search committee.
Okay. Gaetano.
We're just discussing open meeting or this entire complaints.
It's open meeting law. This complaint was listed as
But the-
complaint of open meeting law violations and then violations of interest.
And then the
Yes. So we're talking about the
the
entire.
confidentiality, is that, we're not discussing that? We are.
There's a comment.
It's in this document, is it not? You read
Yes.
the document? Yes. then
That's
you
what I'm
can-
asking.
Then you can discuss that, yes.
I mean, to that, I would say I was on the committee from the start and was asked. I never disclosed who the candidates were. I think that's essentially the meaning of confidentiality.
Right.
In reading the complaint. doesn't appear it was followed.
Can I respond to
Of course-
something here, Deb?
Of course you can, you should, yep.
On confidentiality, I just want to make it clear to people who are there and anyone else that when the reporter, Susan Small here, called me to ask me about the search process, she raised to me the fact that Chip applied. I did not raise it with her. And she raised with me the fact that Chip was not one of the final candidates. I did not raise that. I mistakenly, and I shouldn't have confirmed what she already knew, or confirmed what I had been told by multiple people around town in the past month and a half as this process was going on. The only time I ever raised it was when she asked me directly. And I had been, many people in town came to me and to many other people about the fact that Chip had applied. And I, at the time, I didn't say anything. You know, it was a mistake on my part to confirm something with a reporter. I should have learned better than to keep my mouth shut, especially with Susan Small here, because she's a very good reporter and she can do this.
And she hears you.
I apologize, Chip, but I also and I spoke with the passive lawyers, and she also said that this was not a violation of confidentiality, because I did not release. Confidentiality in the legal sense would be releasing personal information about Chip, his phone number, social security number, or something like that. And then the other thing I want to say about confidentiality is in regards to the next report about candidate number 25. When Wendy confirmed, accepted the offer, I asked her, is it okay now to release your name? And she said yes. And I apologize that in my rush to get on an airplane to get out of town for work, that I did not send off an email quickly to the board and to confirm that she had accepted. So I apologize to everyone there for not taking that step before I left.
Okay. Does anyone at the board level want to say anything before I go into the audience?
Yeah, apology accepted, I understand that. We're working on a tight schedule. There was a lot of things to be done. We have a lot of things yet to do, whether it be paving in the square or getting on with the day-to-day affairs of the municipalities here. I don't believe that topic is specific to an open meeting law violation as far as from my experience here, but it may be something we'd want to get some guidance on in the future as far as the conflict of interest policy or a process, or in addition to that process.
Okay, you have to separate conflict of interest and confidentiality are two separate things, right?
Right.
So, okay.
So that would-
Okay, Gaetano?
So I don't think it ties to open meeting either, but my question was, are we discussing this whole letter? That's why I brought it up, Stephanie.
Well, I would assume that.
It's in the letter, that's why I brought it up.
That we are.
It's a separate item. And to add to what Sue said, when I was asked those same questions throughout this whole process, I said it's confidential. That was my response the entire time, whether it was a reporter, whether it was a TV, whether it was a citizen.
She understands that. That's why she just apologized for what she'd done. I understand that. So the board can choose, what their concerns are that, to do about that, if anything. Mr. Stearns?
So, I had an entire page to read, but Sue's open confession that she provided information for an applicant that was considered confidential when applied. So I'm going to only read two of the paragraphs. It is common knowledge that you can Google anyone and get information about them. These statements were described to me by a potential employer as a low blow. The ramifications of this simple lack of judgment already has impacted my employment opportunities. The relationship of the applicant to the search committee and to the two boards was a matter of public trust in maintaining privacy in the process, using executive sessions. 27 applicants were submitted in confidence. If the two boards choose to publicly disclose the remaining 25 applicants and rank them, then my complaint would no longer be relevant.
Thank you. Anyone else? Miles?
Wouldn't that erode trust even further? That, I mean, that, I know I'm not to address you,
Oh, yeah.
but that makes no sense to me. I believe the committee had a very tough job, and I think they sifted through all of the candidates, gave them all due consideration. There were 10 picked, then it went to 5, then it went to 2. And the boards chose between those last 2, based on many interviews, thought, and care. And I believe the process was followed through to the full. I mean, that's all.
Thank you. I believe Mr. Mitchell did have his hand up sooner. Sorry, Sam.
I'd like to clear a little of this up right now, okay? To begin with, it was Harmony Birch from the Rock Reformer who was here in a meeting very early in the spring when Willis Chip Stearns showed up at the meeting. The elections had not even gone on. She contacted me and she said, I think Chip is interested in his job back. Now, many of these will probably not admit it, but I did sound the alarm. Okay? I did sound the alarm. And his cameo appearance at that joint board meeting that I didn't watch or anything, certainly, if he wanted it in hush-hush secret, just like I know he was in town hall the other day with our police chief, meeting with the town manager. You don't keep anything a secret in this town. It's a small town. Everybody knows everybody's business.
Yes, but remember, despite how much it was spoken around the village and town,
Yeah.
it's up to the members, the elected members or the members of the committee to keep that confidence despite, even if they put somebody put a banner up in the middle of the square.
I tried to find out, and I can tell you, none of them would tell me.
All right, so, I'm sorry, did you want to speak, Sam?
No, I think you answered my question, exactly what you said, it's in confidence of the board.
It's up to us, even no
However-
matter how much they shout.
However, I happened to be over the Lee sides having lunch, and Chip was over there at that time, and he walked over and talked to the lady that was behind the counter and said that he'd put his name in for that position. But you answered my question.
Again, he can breach that, we
Yep.
cannot.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? I'm going to speak to these matters. Any of these other matters for item number 3? So it does not appear, we have taken action on 2 items. It does not appear we intend to take any on any others. That leaves us with our going into executive session. And we have the motion before us. Each board member, each board needs to go individually. And before we take this, remember, we will not be saying anything about any announcements, either yes or no, before leaving this room. And we will allow you to speak before we vote on before entering executive session. We'll allow you to speak before we vote on the matter. Okay.
Sure.
Stefan, for the
Yep.
trustees?
For
Okay.
the trustees, I'll make the motion that the board enter into an executive session to discuss the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee. But the public body must make a final decision to hire or appoint in an open meeting, and it must explain the reasons for its final decision per 1 VSA statute 313A, item 3.
Okay, second?
I'll second that.
All right, so all those in discussion before we go into executive session? All right, all those in favor, remember your name.
Gary Lickway, aye.
Stephen Golick, aye.
Deborah Wright, aye. Okay, we have passed that, now to the select board.
Madam Chairman, I move that the select board enter executive session with the Bellows Falls trustees to discuss the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee, but the public body must make a final decision to hire or appoint in an open meeting, and it must explain the reason for this final decision. 1 VSA 13, parentheses A, parentheses 3. Peter Golick made the motion.
Second.
Okay, now, all,
Any discussion?
what's that?
Any discussion?
Any discussion first? Looks like everybody's splitting. Okay. All right then.
Doreen Aldrich, aye.
Gaetano Puttaniano, aye.
Peter Golick, aye.
Stefan Golick, aye.
Susan?
Susan Hammond, aye.
Okay, it looks like we are now into executive session. Thank you, folks, for your, for attending. And your Okay, so we are back in open session, it being 2:02. Let's see, entertain a motion from the board.
And Chairman, on behalf of the select board, make a motion that Sue Hammond be appointed to negotiate a contract with the new hire and to bring the contract negotiated back to the board for approval.
Repeat all that?
Yeah, you want to repeat the motion?
Yeah, I wasn't here, I said, wait a minute.
Oh, I didn't hear you say, wait a minute. Was you coming down the stairs? I didn't hear that. Sorry about that. I'm sorry, Peter. Can you repeat the motion again?
I can stutter again, hang on a minute. I make the motion on behalf of the select board that we appoint Sue Hammond to negotiate a contract with a new hire and to bring said contract back to the board for approval.
Second.
I'm just gonna, in the discussion piece, I would just say you can say her name. It's clearly out there now. It's not confidential. Just
Right.
saying.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
All in favor? Names, please.
Doreen Aldrich, aye.
Gaetano Pugliano, aye.
Peter Golick, aye.
Stefan Golick, aye.
Susan, you're last.
Susan Hammond, aye.
Okay, it's been moved. All right, on the trustee side, entertain a motion.
Yeah,
Study your way through that.
yeah. Make a motion to authorize the village president to negotiate the
Contract.
contract with Wendy Harrison, reference the municipal manager's position for the village.
Second that. Gary Lookway, second.
Okay,
Bringing
so,
that back to the board also?
and yes, we will be
Yes.
bringing it back to the board. I'm certain that there'll be
I
this.
need it part of the motion, otherwise,
What's that?
should be part of
Should
the
be part of
motion.
the
Yeah.
motion. So you take the amendment?
Yeah, I'm taking the amendment.
That'll be
sure.
brought back to the board. You guys didn't do that, did you?
We did.
You did, okay, good. So we're good. Any other discussion? I'm looking for, oh, good grief. Hello?
What is your starting date?
Negotiating the contract.
Negotiating the
We're never gonna
contract.
get done playing with the numbers, Jim.
We can give you a date at a further meeting.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
You're
Peter.
welcome. You're welcome.
Could be another week, could be a month if she doesn't agree to anything, so.
You start a bet.
Whoever's got the bigger hammer, Jim.
Okay, all those in favor with names?
Gary Lookway, aye.
Stefan Golick, aye.
And Deborah Wright, aye. Okay, is there any other business before the board?
None. I have none.
All right,
None.
Peter?
I don't have anything.
Susan? Any other business?
Nope, I'm all set, thanks.
Stefan?
No.
Gary?
No.
And none from me either. All right, hearing nothing, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell.
One last thing. Mr. Stearns had requested that you investigate me, to protect his interest
Not
because,
relevant.
okay, but hold on a second. We promised when the Bay issue was risen, Tom McPhee sat there and said that there would be an investigation about the missing bond money. It never happened. So, how do you investigate yourself or that previous board?
Okay,
That is
well-
the question.
Thank you. If the boards choose to bring this up again, they will. Thank you for your input.
A motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Susan?
Aye.
Oh, do we have to
Yep,
give our
aye.
names again? We have to give our names
Gary
again.
Lookway, aye.
Stefan Golick, aye.
Deborah Wright, aye.
Peter Golick, aye.
Gaetano Pugliano, aye.
Doreen Aldrich, aye.
And Susan? You in
Susan
fa-
Hammond, aye.
Thank you.
That's two ayes.
So now
That's
we're
two- Oh, she did it again.